Hey everyone, I'm so excited to have another military serviceman here with you guys today, another Brooks graduate. So we are super excited to have Michael with us. Michael, would you take a second to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are and where you're from.
Okay. So hello everybody. I'm Michael Logsdon. I graduated from Brooks High School in 2010. I'm from Florence, Alabama. Of course, I can't graduate from Brooks if I'm not from Florence, or at least in the surrounding area. Currently, I am stationed in Yokosuka, Japan. I've been here for almost a year now. Be a year here in November, and I will have been in the Navy for 8 years coming in March. So what things that I do? So I'm an AG, and that's what the Navy says, but it's an aerographer mate. So if you want to put that like, oh, like what the heck do you mean by an aerographer mate? It's a weatherman. That's pretty self-explanatory, at least in that sense. But all of the weather that the Navy does and for the fleet, I am that guy. So I'm the first person that they come to is like, hey, we're doing this operation tomorrow. We're maybe dropping putting warheads on foreheads kind of deal. What's the weather going to be like for this evolution? And so it's crazy just how much of an impact that we have on that because it's like being in civilian world. What's the first thing you do before you go like a football game or anything like that? You look at the weather. What's weather going to be like? So, and that transitions to the military. So prior to the military, I graduated from University of Alabama in Huntsville with my degree in atmospheric science back in 2016, and then joined the Navy in 2017. So to be able to use the degree that I worked hard for, I would say, and use that for my career is just been a godsend. So I'm very, very fortunate to be able to have that opportunity to expand on my skills and uh, be where I'm at today.
Yeah, that is super interesting. I've always heard that pretty much any job in the civilian world is available in military life, but weatherman is one I have never thought of. So that is very
Yep.
interesting. So you mentioned that you went to college first and then joined the military. So
Mhm.
how did that affect your military career? How is that different than someone who joins maybe right out of high school?
So I think with that in the military and joining out of college, so I have my 4 year degree, and so you get out of college and you take I forget the actual full name, the acronym, but it's the ASVAB. So it's pretty much just kind of like a series of just generalized questions, and based on your score, it's where they'll put you. Like, hey, we recommend like this job here, this job there. So for me, highest you can make is I think is a 99. I had like a 82 somewhere, 82, 87 somewhere in that range. And for those that are wanting to join, focus on the ASVAB. So if you do a really good score in your ASVAB, you have all the power in the world to pretty much kind of pick whatever job that you want. So that would be the one thing I would recommend is focusing on that ASVAB. That is the key. Also, as well, when you're going through that and you're going your process going into MEPS, and when you pick your job, you have all that power. No one's putting a gun to your head or nothing. So I was very fortunate because my father was an Army recruiter back in the day. And so having him in my corner was the greatest thing ever because he knew all the tricks of the trade and things still applied today. So it's like, hey, if they ain't got what you want, man, go walk right on out. And that's what I did. I think what they had for jobs, I went there to pick my job was oh gosh, it was like sonar tech. So being on a submarine, and I'm about 6'5", so absolutely not. I refuse to be on a submarine. So it was that job, a couple other jobs, and so I was like, hey, like I'm not picking these, and so I wanted aerographer mate. I wanted the weather job, and so they about 2 weeks later, I'm working at the YMCA in Florence, and I get a phone call at work, and it's like, hey, someone's on the phone for you, and sure enough, it's my recruiter saying, hey, we got the job for you. Do you want it? And so, of course, I'm in Nashville the next day and signing up for the job. So, but for the military, coming out of college, I left boot camp as an E3 instead of if you come out of straight out of high school and getting out of boot camp, you'd be an lowly E1. But there are those opportunities in boot camp, if I remember correctly, where you could get that kind of a bump up in rank where you show up to your duty station, you could be an E2 or an E3. So, but I had my college degree on my side. I'm an E6 now, and just to make that in almost in really 7 years, 6, 7 years is just astounding. It still blows my mind. And I'm up for E7 here in January, so I'll be taking that advancement exam. And even that kind of just spooks the crap out of me and everything a little bit. It's like, gosh, like it's really been like this long. And I blink, I get in the military, blink, and I'm already up for like a really high leadership position. So, but yeah, that's kind of that journey. So don't be discouraged if you're getting out of high school and you're just like, oh, I got to join the military now. Like, no, don't. So like it's not an end all situation. So if you want to go get your degree, yeah, go get your degree. Look at college, ROTC. I never did ROTC, but if you're for those that want to go to school, definitely check out ROTC. The great careers there, and you can potentially become an officer. Better paycheck, people salute you. There's definitely a lot of perks there with that. So I've thought about officer, but with at least in my career field, I don't really feel like the job satisfaction would be there because I don't really do the work. Like I love to do the weather forecasting and all that, and officers don't really do that. So that's why I kind of think more, kind of shifting more towards the warrant officer side, where I have a little bit more of that hands-on stuff and a little bit more of that optimization feel. I think that's where the job satisfaction is going to come from for me.
Yeah, that is so interesting. And it sounds like just talking with you and a few of the interviews that I've done, there's lots of different pathways and there's lots of different ways to serve in the
Hmm.
military. You know, there's not one way that's the perfect fit for everyone. And so I love that you shared your journey with us. And I'm so glad that you mentioned
Hmm.
the ASVAB. Actually, Brooks juniors and seniors will have a chance to take the ASVAB on December the 3rd this year. So I hope you're
Okay.
paying attention, guys, and take it seriously. Um, so my next question for you is, what would you say has been the best aspect of serving in the military? Maybe something that's been super beneficial or has, brought a lot of value or something to your experience.
Oh man, the best part of the military. I say the travel. The travel has been fantastic. I have seen places, been to places that if you were to tell me my sophomore, junior, senior year of high school, I probably would have laughed in your face and said, that ain't happening, man. So I've been on these, my first deployment. We hit 5 port visits. So I have spent Christmas in Dubai. I've spent Thanksgiving in Singapore. I've also been to Bahrain, Thailand, and then Marseille, France. So I've been to the south of France right on my birthday, actually, in April. That was pretty fun. Then the destroyer, I've been on 2 underways on destroyers this year, and some of the ports I've been to Manila, I went back to Thailand, Okinawa, Sasebo, which is western, kind of like Western Japan area. So there's been a lot of different places, and just to see the cultures and the different things is just, it's amazing. I would have never thought that I would be in that position to really see these things where that you see in like a postcard or some special on like a travel channel or something like that. So just getting to see all that is so cool.
Yeah, that is awesome. And so I know you mentioned that obviously when you travel, this is for work, but while you're traveling, is
Mhm.
there downtime? Do you get to be a tourist? How much of work time versus downtime do you get in these ports?
So there is some downtime that you get. I will say for deployment, it was, I think, get how many days would be there, probably maybe like 4 days. And so you have a couple of days off to go enjoy it, definitely relax and recharge. But then you have like that one duty day where I remember, I think I was up for maybe like almost a full day, 24 hours almost. So that part kind of stinks. But at least with this tour that I'm at here, I'm not really part of like a duty section or anything. When I pull into port, it's just like, all right, well, see y'all later, guys. I'm gonna go spend like 3 days somewhere, 4 days out, wherever, whatever port that we're in. So it's pretty cool. I'm not really part of the ship. I'm just temporarily assigned to it. So if you're attached to a ship, you might not get that luxury. But if you're just a shipwrighter and just like, hey, I'm just here to do my job and then do my own thing, then you might have a little bit of those freedoms there. So But that's kind of like how that works and what I've experienced so far.
Yeah. So while you're in port or while you travel to these different places, are all of your expenses paid for? Are there certain benefits that you guys get while you travel?
I wouldn't necessarily say the port visits are free. Definitely that comes out of your own pocket as well. But they do have some pretty cool things, especially on the carrier. There were, and destroyers did it too, but there are tours that they would do. There's opportunities to go and do that. I've been, oh gosh, I think we were in Thailand, and it was the Temple of Truth. So you can look, I think it's what it's called, a Temple of Truth, but it was this nice, I think it was like a Buddhist, almost like wooden, almost like temple kind of deal. And just getting to go and see that, and the architecture in that was astounding and everything there. So there's plenty of like other tours. I think there's stuff you can go to. You could ride elephants or whatever in Thailand. You could go to all these just various tours. So for those that do decide join the Navy and get on a deployment or whatever, take advantage of those tours. Like it is so awesome. It is so amazing. Gosh, I think our first one that I did when we were in Dubai, we went out into like the desert, and it's just like this little camp almost in the middle of the desert almost in a way. And they had like food, belly dancers. I got to hold like a falcon, which, word to the wise, if you go to the Middle East and someone says, here, hold this falcon, say no, because they're just trying to swindle money from you. So you got to be a little bit careful with that. So, but take advantage of those tours. You got to pay some money for them, but it's experiences that you're not really ever going to experience if
Yeah.
you don't have that get the opportunity again. So definitely take advantage of that for sure.
Yeah, that's very exciting. It sounds like you've been able to experience a lot of different cultures. And
Hmm.
so my next question is, what would you say is the most challenging aspect of serving in the military?
Ooh, oh man. I would say the hardest part for me is being away from your family. I I mean, I'm from Alabama. I'm very close to my family, and just I can't really go home as often as I'd like to. And I've missed a lot of things. I have missed weddings. I have missed birthdays and all these little various celebrations and things. Just like, God, I really want to be there. And that's been the hardest part. Um, but people, thankfully for me that I know or have been very understanding and said, hey, like we get it. Like you're in the military. We thank you for your service and all that. So, yeah, there's definitely that part that stinks about it, and that's the hardest part. That when they say thank you for your service, like they're talking about those sacrifices that you make, and even when you get married, I've been married for 2 years in March, and my wife makes those sacrifices too. She's away from her family, and I remember at our wedding, I remember crying in my vows and just saying, I am so sorry, like just for what I'm asking of you to upend your life and all these little things that you're used to in civilian life and come and follow me of all people. But I will say it's worth it. It's definitely been worth it. People get to come out and visit and all that. I've had my sister-in-law come and visit us in Japan. My parents have been there every step of the way with my deployments. They saw me off and they saw me back in when we pulled in on the when I was on the carrier. So it's definitely it's hard, but it's doable. Technology is there. Like before I before we had this meeting, I was FaceTiming my mother and everything back in Alabama. So it's modern technology helps. It definitely helps with that aspect for sure. So it's not like in the old days where it's like I write a letter to whoever and I hope and pray to God that that person ain't dead. So, but yeah, I would say that's the hardest part is just that separation from your family and friends, especially if you're very close and have that kind of relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be very difficult. So, there may be some
Mhm.
students that are watching that may be interested in joining the military, but are not sure, maybe a little bit curious. What advice do you have for those students?
I would say if you're looking into the military, if you have any doubts, I would probably say maybe not do that. So for me, you have to be all in. Like you got to be all in if you want to do it. So like for me, when I was in high school and everything, if you told me like that I was gonna be in the military, I would have laughed in your face. I had no desire, and just seeing the benefits because my father did 28 years in the army, and just seeing the benefits that he got in retirement and what I get now as an active duty service member. So I'll say if I'm back in like the States and all that, so your housing allowance is paid for. Your you get a stipend for food. Excuse me. If I'm away from your family, family separation pay. There's all these different expenses there, and then the healthcare is there as well. If you're at the airport and they call your flight for domestic flights, I can just march to the front of the line and get to my seat before everybody else. So there are those little things too that help. Kind of just okay, cool. I guess this is kind of like pretty cool opportunity and decision on my part to do this, but you have to be 100% in it. That's my honest opinion. Um, if I had to rank the branches based on what I have seen, uh, if for those that live the bougie lifestyle, Air Force is pretty dang good. So Air Force is pretty dang good facilities. Navy's up there too. Air Force was actually my first choice, but there are things the recruiting process that was a little bit weird, and I wasn't really big fans of. And then the Navy was like, yeah, cool. It was to do with like your height and weight standards. So I'm pretty big dude, and what their weight standards were for me, I was like, I don't really agree with this for the Air Force. But the Navy was like, yeah, what does measure your waist? Oh yeah, you're under 39, you're good. So I was like, yeah, I choose y'all. So, but I would say like my top three branches, definitely the Air Force one. I'd say Navy two, and I probably put the Space Force at three, just because the place you can get in with the Space Force. So either it's like Colorado, California, or Florida. So it makes it a little bit easier there for you. But if there's other ones, I will not discredit the Army or the Marine Corps. Those guys are definitely in their own right as well. So if you really like that kind of stuff, infantry, go and do it. Those guys are definitely some cool people as well. So find what is best for you, especially what one do you feel more comfortable in. If they have your job, definitely go with that as well. But yeah, you got to be 100%, got to be committed to that. Because if you have any sort of like, I don't really know about this, and once you sign that dotted line, it's too late, bud. There ain't no take backs. Like once you sign the dotted line, they got you for at least 4 years. So that would be my advice for those
Yeah,
that are trying to maybe decide, okay, maybe this is for me or not.
that's good advice. Well, Michael, thank you so much for sharing your time with us and all your words of wisdom.
Mm,
Obviously, thank you so much for your service and what you're doing. And
it's
I
my
know it's
pleasure.
super late in Japan. You can see it's daytime here in Alabama.
Yeah,
Um,
it's dark here. So
but thank you so much. And I can't wait for the students at Brooks High School to hear from you. And do you have any
mm.
last words of wisdom or advice for the students of Brooks?
Oh my gosh. Gosh, what would I even say? Um, don't be scared to fail. That is definitely a big one. If you're scared to fail, you've already defeated yourself. It's okay. You are going to mess up at some point. Do not sweat the small stuff. Control, like worry about the things you can control, and it's going to be all right. And so I had an old swim coach when things got rough in practices. He would always say, "You will recover," and I still think about that wisdom to this day. So I know it's tough. I've been there, especially for seniors trying to figure out what the heck I'm going to do with my life, which I was one of the fortunate ones to know, but know what they did. But it's going to be all right. You're going to be okay, kid. So it's going to work out. I promise.
I love it. All right, Michael. Well, you have a great rest of your evening. And again, thank you so much for your service and everything you do.
All right. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day.